Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. I thought we'd do a little morning skincare while I talk about my birthing story at 19 years old. If you don't know, I am a teen mom. A former teen mom because I'm 41. Will I always just be labeled a teen mom? Am I a former teen mom? I don't know. You guys tell me because sometimes I say former teen mom and then sometimes I just say teen mom, but I'm not a teen anymore and my kids are grown. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I just washed my face with the La Roche-Posay Gentle Foaming Moisturizing Wash. It's what I use every morning. And now we're just going in with my normal daily skincare. This is a Paula's Choice 2% BHA liquid exfoliant. I love this stuff. I got pregnant at 19 years old. I got pregnant to a man that was in the military. We did end up later getting married after Mia, my eldest, was born, who is now 21. And it's so wild to think that 3 years ago for her, I was pregnant and I was giving birth. Like, wild. I can't even, I'm not ready to be a grandma. We later got married and subsequently had our second child together, and then we ended up getting divorced. And I think I have a whole story time on this somewhere on my page, but if not, and you guys want a new story time, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to give you guys a story time. I got pregnant at 19 years old and gave birth at 19 years old. I used to work at Sonic while I was pregnant. Yes, I was a car hop skating while I was pregnant. And then I fell on my butt, I just fell down my butt, and I think after that I went back to being a car hop. I was hurt. I did go to the hospital. I was fine. The baby was fine. I fell on my butt. But I feel like there's so much that I can remember about the days leading up, the day of, a few days after, the days leading up to giving birth to Mia, my eldest child. My mom and I got stranded on the side of the road trying to get onto the military base because my dad is retired Air Force. There's a long line of cars to get on. I think we ran out of gas, and so we were going, this was before cell phones really, so we were going on base to use the phone there in order to call my dad at work so he can come and give us gas. I really think that's the story. I could be a little lost in the sauce on exactly why we were on the side of the road, but there was a line of cars getting on base, and why there was a line of cars, I don't know. But anyway, we walked a long distance to go use the phone to call my dad. After that, that was a couple days before I gave birth. So after that, I went into Braxton Hicks, or I didn't give birth, but I went to the hospital to get checked out after that. Once we got back to the car, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm giving birth right now. Is this how it's supposed to feel? So my mom drives into the hospital. We go in, we wait, we get a room. They hook me up. They monitor me for an hour. And after all of that, they were like, oh, ma'am, no. This is way too early. You're going to have to come back. Come back when you're actually giving birth. So basically, after an hour of sitting there all hooked up, belly out, monitors hooked up to me and all of that, I would sit home. So my mom and I went home. At that time, my mom was working a job. A couple days later, she's at work. I'm just home with my sister, my younger sister, and my dad. My older sister had already moved out of the house, and we're just chit-chatting and whatever. It becomes dinner time, and I'm walking from the dining room into the kitchen. My water broke. My water broke right there in the path between the dining room and the kitchen, right there where they meet. And I was like, I don't know if I said my water broke or I peed myself. I don't remember. But I just remember being like, oh my gosh, it is go time. It is time to have this baby. So I'm going to spray my face with the Now Solutions Hyaluronic Acid Hydration Facial Mist. I love this stuff. At 41 years old, I need to make sure that I'm retaining moisture, drinking my water to stay moisturized, but also topically spraying things that keep my face moisturized. I would much rather look like a greased up rat than a dried out prune. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's go time. My sister cleans up the mess. She's a saint for that. She is a saint. She cleans up the mess. I don't even know much about that because I think after I have birth, like I never even asked her about how she cleaned it up. I don't remember asking her at least about cleaning it up. Maybe I cleaned it up. I don't remember. But I remember just being like, oh my God, like obviously I'm a teenager. I don't even know what it's like to give birth. This is my first child. Like the baby daddy isn't even here. Like I'm just like all types of things. We hadn't even picked out a middle name. I picked out Mia's middle name on the way to the hospital. Faith. It's Mia Faith. I always liked the name Faith, but like she doesn't like it. You know, I think I always liked it because I was like a big Faith Hill fan when I was a teenager. I never had like t-shirts and all of that, but like I liked her music, you know, and I always liked her name, and I was like, oh, it's very Southern. I love it. And that's how she came me up. We picked Mia for Mia Ham. We were on the phone, her dad and I were on the phone, and we were just like trying to think of names, and he was like, oh, he had a magazine in front of him. Like, this is so bad. This is so unplanned, everything about it, and chaotic. And he was like, oh, how about Mia for Mia Ham? And I was like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing. Next, I'm going in with a Now Solutions vegetable glycerin. And basically, vegetable glycerin, or glycerin itself, is in a lot of our skincare products. It's the moisturizing, hydrating element of those skincare products. Typically, along with probably other ingredients. But I was just reading up on this during like quarantine time. So I've had this bottle for a long time. It's lasted me for forever. Because you just need a little dollop, and you have to mix this with like moisturizer or something. I could mix these two together, but this is really hard to like spread out and apply without mixing it with something. So I'm going to go in with a CeraVe Daily Moisturizing Lotion, and I usually give myself a little pump of that, a little squirt of that, and mix all that together and then put it on my face. So anyway, fast forward to my dad driving me to the hospital. I had packed my bags a couple days before. I am literally getting checked in. My dad stayed with me, which was so weird. Like, I remember being like, oh my gosh, like, my vagina's out. Like, you know, my cookie is out. Like, everybody's looking at me. And, like, I mean, I guess I just didn't, and I didn't like prep myself mentally for how invasive giving birth really is. I mean, granted, my dad wasn't down there like looking, you know, he was up there near my head, but he wanted to make sure that he was there. And I love him for that, but it was also very much like, this was so weird. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess I just never really had that kind of relationship with my parents. And for all of a sudden, him to be in the room when he's never like, I don't know. It was just so weird. Like, even growing up, I remember, like, I was a child that took baths. Like, my mom bathed me until I was probably 8 years old. I know, weird. But even those times, I don't remember my dad ever bathing me. Like, my mom bathed us, which, I mean, makes sense, you know. Girls bathing girls, you know. It would be weird if my dad was bathing me and I was 8 years old, you know. That would be creepy. But I guess he's just going to be there to support me. I was scared and nervous, and he could tell. And, you know, it was his first grandbaby, and I'm actually still the only child that has grandchildren for my parents. He was there until my mom came in. Then my mom came, and he basically left, and I was like, thank goodness. But also, still, everybody's in my cookie. Like, three nurses, a doctor, they're checking you, you know, to make sure your mucus and all of that. And, oh my gosh, like, if you're pregnant and you're going to have your baby soon, like, prepare yourself mentally for how invasive giving birth actually is. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but at the same time, it's just something that you if you are more of a private person, and I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Just prepare yourself. So anyway, I give birth without her dad at all. It's just me and my mom after my dad left. I'm still in the hospital the next day because I went in around dinner time, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in those hours. I went in. I had Mia at 11:52 like p.m., somewhere in that time. It was right before midnight, but it wasn't midnight. So she is on the cusp of being a day later. And then I don't even know, because I think I had a cell phone at that time, but it was very early stages of cell phones. He had a beeper, and that's actually how I let him know I was pregnant. I took a pregnancy test in the bathroom at Sonic when I was a teenager. When I thought I was pregnant, I was like, gosh, I haven't had my period in a while or something like that. And I remember texting him, and it went to his beeper. And I texted him like 911 or something like that. And if you've ever had a beeper, you know 911 is an emergency. Call me immediately as soon as you get a chance. We need to talk. And so I think I told him on the back patio in the employee little sit down area outside that we were having a child. Anyway, fast forward back to when I'm having Mia, and it's the next day. So I think I get released later that day or the day after, just because I had her so late. I think I ended up staying like technically 3 days there, because the day I gave birth, the day after, and the day after that is when we went home, I think. So that second full day that Mia's alive, her dad comes. Lord have mercy. He was in Fort Bragg and I was in Sumter, South Carolina, so we were a few hours apart. How we met is spring break, Myrtle Beach. That's how we met, if that tells you anything about the relationship we had. And then he comes, and it's not, I didn't know. I thought he was busy like working or something. I don't know why he's missing her birth. You know what I mean? Like, I told him that I was going into labor. Come immediately. Your first child is coming into this world. You might want to be there, blah, 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 kind of thing. I'm scared. Please come there to be there with me. You know, he ends up missing it. The next day he comes, he hangs out, you know, he takes us home to my parents. He is off on leave, and he's able to stay in town and help me out getting situated and everything like that. And that's the week he asked my dad for my hand in marriage. We ended up getting married probably a few days after that, when I went up to Fayetteville to see the house that he had gotten for us. He had gotten us a little townhouse so we could be a family together. But it's sometime after I give birth and we move, it's when I find out that he was at a Kid Rock concert while I was in the hospital giving birth, after we had already gotten married. After, like, I was so livid for so long, and I held it over his head for so long, as I should. What parent misses their first child's birth for a concert? If that tells you anything, I mean, we were still so young and dumb. He didn't miss the birth of our second child, and now he's gone on to marry somebody else, and they've had a couple kids, or they've had a kid, and I don't think he missed that child's birth either. And when he was there for our second child's birth, he was like, oh, this is so magical. Like, I'm so mad that I missed out on Mia's birth and stuff like that, just being young and stupid. And yeah, I was mad about that for the longest time. And how it slipped is one of his friends had said something, and he was like, shh, don't say anything. That's how I kind of put 2 and 2 together. You know, the dates lined up. Those are the dates I was in the hospital having Mia. Now that my moisturizer has sunk into my skin, the last thing I do with my morning skincare is this Isn't Tree Hyaluronic Acid Watery Sun Gel. It's SPF 50. I love it. It keeps my skin like glowing throughout the day. I love it. It doesn't like sting my eyes or anything like that. Even if I get sweaty, this stuff will not sting my eyes. And I go in with my 2 fingers. That's what they say. You're supposed to do like 3 lines or something like that. But because I squiggle it, I just, I assume that it's enough moisturize or enough sunscreen. And I just basically rub it all over my face. There's something about sunscreen that's not made in America that doesn't burn my eyes. And I wear contacts, so I love a good sunscreen that doesn't burn my eyes when I sweat. If I get a little bit sweaty outside walking scout or something, I don't have to worry about it get into my eyes and we have to take it out. My contacts are dirty now, blah, blah, blah. And I always rub it on my hands. But yeah, I mean, that's basically my birth story. We didn't have much lined up. We were so ill prepared. I think I had a bassinet and Mia came home to my parents' house in my teenage bedroom and she slept there. I bottle fed her in the hospital, and when I got home I was like more in an intimate, without everybody barging in every 2 hours setting. I had my mom help me try to learn how to breastfeed, but it was incredibly painful that I was like, at a teenager, I was like, yeah, no, I'm so good. I just gave birth. Like, I'm just going to bottle feed her. And I ended up just bottle feeding her formula. And both my kids were formula babies. I kind of wish that had at least gotten a pump and like pump fed and learned more, like tried more times to breastfeed them. But I mean, I was still just so young and dumb. And even when I had Isabel, our second child, I was only like 22 or something like that. So I was still basically almost a teen mom at that. Because like in your 20s, I feel like especially before you're 25, you're still a teenager. I know you're in your 20s and you're considered to be an adult, but you are a teenager in my mind. Like when I see my daughter who's 21, I'm like, I do see her as an adult and I do respect that she's an adult, makes her own decisions and all of that. But at the same time, I'm like, in this world and in this lifetime, we live to be in our 70s, 80s, 90s. 20s is so young and you are still learning so much about yourself, this world, how economy works, all the things that I feel like you're still just so fresh and new that you're basically a teenager. But you're a teenager with a lot more freedoms and a lot more responsibilities, and you're learning a lot more during those times. Heck, sometimes I still feel like I need my mom. And I'm 41 years old. But yeah, thanks for coming to hang with me this morning, get my skincare on, and now it is time to go tackle this day. Love y'all. Bye.